Hi, and welcome to the Week 1 overview. Let me scroll down to Week 1 so we can take a look. Hopefully you've already seen the course overview and you're currently watching the Week 1 overview, so we're really ready to get into the meat of the course. I'm going to jump down here for a second into the activities, and I'm doing this for this reason because I want to call your attention to two things. First is the contact information survey. I'm going to right-click that link so I don't lose my page here. And you can see that that's going to open up a Google form, and it's very simple. It's asking for your first name, last name, your Ramapo email address, the Gmail address you're going to be using for this course for sharing, and it should be the same one that you generally use in your other courses. I tend to call it an MSET Gmail. Okay, so whatever you're using to create your work for the program. And I recommend not using your Ramapo account because it's going to make it difficult to share any of your work with anyone else, including your students. Also your portfolio address, so that at the end of the course we can get there and check out that you have all your links connected. And we'll go into more detail on that in the future. So that's the first thing. And I'd like to call your attention to the fact that almost all assignments for this week are due on the 16th, which is next Sunday. And you can go as late as you want on Sunday, midnight or whatever. But there's one assignment. This contact is the 11th. So that means we'd like you to get right into it and do it right away. And the reason is I'm going to take the results of that and I'm going to add them up here into the class contact information, which is going to allow people to do the second activity, which is sharing a folder, a Google Drive folder with me, but also with your classmates. Okay? So the first one, do as quickly as you can, basically. Now, submitting your assignments, if you were to go into here, I've got a video posted about how you do that. And basically what that video is showing you is how to create a folder in your Google Drive space. Again, your MSET, the space that you share things from. And then how to share it with me and your classmates in a way that's going to be beneficial for the class. So what we're going to basically do is you're going to create a folder. You're going to name it Integrating Technologies - your last name. Now that folder can be inside another folder, and as a matter of fact, I recommend you create a folder for the class, which is fine, but also create this Integrating Technologies folder. You're going to right-click on it, and you're going to give everyone in the class view permission, and you're going to give me edit permission to that folder. So that's what this video shows you how to do. Now, to show that you've actually done that, as you receive other people's invitations, I want you to take a screenshot of your folder structure so we can see and throw it in that Integrating Technologies folder. So that's how I'll know you've got everything set up correctly and we'll be ready to go. Okay, while we're in activities, you can see that there are a couple of others. There's a short experience and expectations survey. I'm not going to open that up right now. It just lets me know what people are teaching, what grade levels, what subject areas, what they expect from the course. It helps me to get oriented to the class, and is, I think, particularly important when we're not meeting, when we're in an online environment. It helps me to see the makeup of the class. Okay, there's an About the Cloud assignment. This is a video which talks a little bit about storing things in the cloud. There is a quiz, and you'll notice that all of these assignments here, you're not going to have to submit anything through the Moodle. By taking the quiz, I'll get the assignment and I can simply put the grade in. So watching the video will explain all that to you. And also there's a short survey on social media, how you use it, and a little bit about how your district looks upon it. Okay, so those are the activities. The weekly project. There is a choice of two projects. Okay, the first one, if you were to click on it, it would give you an explanation. Okay, we have apps that fall into three categories: cloud storage, organizational, and communication. You're going to pick an app that you would like to review, and you may choose to review one that I'm going to show you through the video, something from the additional resources section at the bottom, or something that you suggest on your own. I just want you to Please email me if you have an additional suggestion. It's perfectly fine, but I just want to make sure that it fits into one of these categories so that we can agree on that before you put any work into it. Now, your completed assignment is going to be loaded into your Integrating Technologies folder. So basically, you can do it as a Google Doc. If you decide to do it as something else, and the directions right here say that you can do it in any form you choose, article, presentation, blog, video, anything you want. If it's not something that can be directly loaded into that folder, you're simply going to create a Google Doc with a link to it and put that in the folder. Take an extra second or two and put enough on the page to make it a completed document, maybe a quick sentence that says what it is, and then a link to that. So that's how we'll be working in this class. If you're actually creating something through Google Docs, do it in that folder, and comes the deadline, I'll be able to take a look at it because it will already have been shared with me. However, if it's something you're doing that's not a Google Doc or is not residing in your Google Drive, it's housed at another website or something, make sure the sharing permissions are correct, make sure you have the right link, create a Google Doc with a link to it, and an appropriate name for the Google Doc so I know which one it is, and put that in the folder. Either one will work. Okay, there is a rubric which will explain underneath that for choice 1. If you do choose choice 1, this is your rubric and it tells you what your review really should include. So of course the mechanics of your review should be correct. There should be correct spelling and grammar, language is unambiguous, etc. You want to talk about the pros and the cons of the tool that you're reviewing. You want to mention best uses and go through the rubric so you don't miss anything. But like this will say, give at least one example. There's an organization and there's an impact. Now an impact really comes down to the professionalism of the document. Make sure you put enough time into this just to make it professional and appealing to anyone who might be reading it. Okay, so that's one choice. Your second choice would be something called the Big Six. And the first link takes you out to Big Six, which is a research model. You'll find that there are surprisingly few research models posted on the internet in a very complete form. And this is just the overview, the top section. You can see that it's called the Big Six because there are 6 main categories, and underneath that there are subtopics. So if you do a little exploration, I think you'll get the gist of what this model is about. And that's the important thing to have here. And then you have an overview for that. So the overview is going to tell you that you have 2 choices within this choice. You can write a critical review of the Big Six model, so you can talk about it and where you feel it's strong or where you might change it or improve it, etc. Or you can create an outline for your students using this model or another model. So in other words, talk about how you might use it in a classroom with a project you already do, or maybe a project that you don't do that you'd like to do. So basically walking through the model with an actual example. Okay, it's going to tell you now that you're going to do that as a Google Doc in your Integrating Technologies folder. Name it Research Model and append your last name. Follow the appropriate directions below depending on the activity that you choose. And this is the critical review. And this is the research project for your students. Now I want to emphasize again, if you're creating one for your students, it's not like you have to create all the supportive materials and all the resources for what you would actually do. Just think through the process and reference them. Give us a quick explanation of what they would be. It's not something you have to do in its entirety, but just a framework, just the ideas. And then the assessment is down here, so you should take a look at that. Okay, week 1 project submission. This is simply the placeholder for the grade so that when I do the assessment, it appears in the grade book. So nothing you have to do with this except note the due date. That would be the only thing you really have to do. Okay, now working a little bit backwards, this organization and communication app. We have some instructional videos here, and they are broken up into groups. Now there's a fair amount of videos here. Please don't be put off. It's not like you have to watch them all. These are videos on Google Drive. So if you decide to install Google Drive on your desktop, which is an option, if you decide to install that on your computer and work in that environment, which I find that some people have done, but a lot of people haven't done, it's a really great way to work. These first 3 videos would walk you through that process. Google Keep is an organizational app. I have 2 videos on that. Google Tasks and Reminders is kind of a bonus. It's not robust enough to really warrant the review. It's just there. Remember the Milk. This is not a Google product, but it's another organizational app that's out there online. Google Classroom is obviously a way to keep things organized, and there are a series of videos on how to work in that area. It gives you a pretty good overview of the whole thing and is fairly up to date. Google Forms, communication tool. Some videos on that. And Remind, which is another communication tool that you can use with parents. So those are videos to help you install and use those things, start your exploration. If you look under additional resources, some of these are general, such talking about the cloud. These are additional resources for Google Keep, Forms. There's also a shared space called Live Binders. It's an older technology, but worth looking at, and there are some videos in there. So if you want to either preview that before you make a decision or decide that you'd like to do that as your review, those should be helpful there. Dropbox is another. Evernote, these links will lead you to Evernote, which is similar to a Google Keep, maybe a little more complex, very popular for people to use to organize themselves. Another one would be Microsoft OneNote. And here's some stuff on Remind, Remember the Milk. And as I said, if you have an app that you particularly like that fits into one of those categories of working in the cloud, something that helps you work in the cloud efficiently, organizational tools, and I think when you look at a couple of those videos, you'll get an idea of what I mean by that, and communication tools, just email me with a suggestion. We can talk about that before you proceed. Okay, I think that covers it for week 1. If you have any questions, need any help, please don't hesitate. Send me an email. Better to send it early in the week so we have a little time to go back and forth if we need to.